Hello, good morning, Mrs. Wilma.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Miss Wilma, Pak Sayuti.
Selamat pagi.
Selamat pagi. Magandang umaga.
Umaga po.
And how about your home? Is still float or no?
The rice field is still underwater, but some of the
Area?
already visible.
Oke. Jadi daerahnya lagi banjir, Pak Alfa.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I heard from the news that there was typhoon or things like that, and
Yes.
Philippines, very heavy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a Filipino friends, who told me also about that. I'm really sorry. I hope everything is okay, and then you are all in a good shape.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Alfa. This year 5 kali typhoon lagi menunggu antri. Karena di Filipina biasa setahun 12 kali typhoonnya.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Minggu lalu sampai pohon-pohon di depan KBRI tumbang semuanya.
My God, big trees, ya?
Hah?
Big trees.
Iya, pohon besar itu sampai trotoar keangkat batu-batunya gitu sampai kecabut.
Yeah.
So Dr. Wilma living in Manila, right?
Yeah, Quiapo.
Yes, sir. We have a home here in Manila, but we go to the province every weekend.
Okay.
1 hour ride from Manila.
Okay. How far from Manila? How far from Manila?
1 hour, sir. If
1 hour.
If there's a traffic, probably 2 hours.
Okay, 1 hour driving.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Frederick, are you ready? Mr. Frederick, please open your video. Hello, Mr. Frederick. Are you ready now? Belum ada juga ya, Mbak Manet? Coba saya telepon dulu sebentar.
Yes, Ibu.
Pwede magpalit ng background. Para hindi siya Oo, para hindi siya
Sa entrance sa pagpasok kayo yun.
Maybe we are waiting just a couple minutes, Mr. Frederick. Maybe you introduce yourself, Mrs. Wilma Kunanan and Mam Alin and Pak Sayuti. Silakan kenalan dulu. Saya lagi panggil Frederick dulu. Ini belum diangkat-angkat. Halo, Mam Alin, please introduce yourself.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Bu Lily, for having me here this morning in this webinar. May I introduce myself? My name is Alin Almanda, but please call me Alin. I am from Simio Simolek, Jakarta, Indonesia, and I work as the marketing and publication manager. I've been spending 15 years working in this organization, and Pak Alfa here is my current director. Thank you.
Thank you. And then you, Mrs. Wilma.
Good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Wilma Kunanan Manyo, School Principal 4 from Maligaya Elementary School, Schools Division Office of Quezon City, Philippines. I'm currently handling 162 teachers, and 5,600 pupils in the
Wow,
elementary.
Big school.
5,000.
Big school.
It's one of the biggest schools, sir.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
We have a school. We have some schools as big as 9,000 or 10,000 in population.
Oh.
Quezon City is one of the highly populated cities in the Philippines.
Ya, terus di Quiapo, di daerahnya Wilma ini, Mrs. Wilma ini banyak Islamnya ya. Miss Wilma, a lot of Muslim around Quiapo ya.
Yeah, ma'am. There are so many Muslims also here in Metro Manila, in Quiapo. Here in Culiat, it's a barangay where some of the Muslims are situated. They have one community there, but the biggest mosque here in Manila is in Quiapo.
Oke. Sekarang Pak Sayuti, silakan kenalan.
Thank you, Bu Lily. Good morning, everyone. My name is Muhammad Sayuti. You just call me Sayuti. Currently, I'm one of 15 member of the National Accreditation Body of the Ministry of Education. But I am also a lecturer in one of the 164 universities belong to the Muhammadiyah. The name is Ahmad Dahlan University. My university has a long collaboration with some universities also in Manila. I forgot the name, Dr. Wilma, but we have long collaboration with universities in Manila. So for example, like student exchange, lecturer exchange, also like for thesis exam, also it's part of the collaboration with one or two universities in Philippines.
Probably Philippine Normal University or University of the Philippines.
I forgot the name. I think Luzon something.
Philippine Normal University.
I forgot the name. I will check. Yes. My department is Master in Vocational Education and Training.
Oh.
Thank you. Oh, I live in Jogja, but I have another office in Jakarta, Bu Lili, in Cipete. So the office is PAN SM is located in Fatmawati, Jakarta. But I live in Jogja.
Oke. Saya pernah jadi staf ahli di BSNP, Pak.
Oh, gitu.
Iya, 1 tahun. Jadi di Cipete kantornya.
Betul,
tahun 2015.
PAN lantai 1, BSNP di lantai 2.
Iya, di lantai 2. Sekarang jadi sepi ya karena banyak pindah ke Senayan.
Betul. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. How about Mr. Frederick? I'm already calling him 3 times but not answer. Oh.
Hello.
We are waiting, Mr. Frederick. Okay. Good morning, Mr. Frederick. I'm so sorry.
I just returned. I just went to the restroom. I had to go to the restroom a while ago.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry. Please introduce yourself to all of the panelists. We are not opening.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. I am Eric. You can call me Eric Reyes. My complete name is Frederick Reyes. I work for De La Salle Araneta University, the only veterinary school here in the National Capital Region, or Metro Manila. So I've been working for the international linkages and partnerships of the university, and this is in the midst of the pandemic. This is the first time I'm going to do the role as a speaker. So I'm very thankful, terima kasih to Ibu Lily for giving me the chance.
Walang anuman.
Thank you.
Okay, right now participant nanti.
Alright.
Okay, Mbak Manet sudah bisa dibuka sekarang.
Selamat pagi semuanya. Good morning. to everyone.
Morning.
Good morning to
Morning.
our beloved speakers for today, and also to our participants who are with us in this webinar. Before we start our webinar with the theme COVID-19 Beyond the Pandemic Issue, Learning Transformation in New Normal Time, may I request everyone to please pause for a while and a moment of silence for the singing of the national anthem of Indonesia and the Philippines, and to be followed by the doxology in Muslim and Christian.
Doa sebelum belajar. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi zidni ilman warzuqni fahma. Artinya, ya Allah, tambahkanlah aku ilmu dan berikanlah aku rizki akan kepahaman.
Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him, all creatures here below. Praise Him above the heavenly host. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
Thank you so much. Again, we would like to say welcome to our beloved speakers and also the participants today to officially open our webinar with the theme COVID-19 Beyond the Pandemic Issue, Learning Transformation in New Normal Time. May I request the Education and Culture Attaché to give her opening remarks.
Thank you, Mbak Manet. Good morning, everybody. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Selamat pagi. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My Honorable Dr. Alfa Amir Rahman, MPhil PhD, Secretary Primary and Secondary Education Council Central Board of Muhammadiyah, and he is Director Syamolek Indonesia. My Honorable Dr. Wilma Kunanan Manyo, MA, Principal Maligaya Elementary School, Quezon City. My Honorable Muhammad Sayuti, MPD, MED, PhD, National Accreditation Board for School and Madrasah. My Honorable Mr. Frederick Reyes, Head of Partnership Academic Cooperation, De La Salle, Araneta, Filipina. My Honorable Ibu Alin Alamanda, MA, the Public Relation Manager, Syamolek Indonesia, and my Honorable all participants today until now is more than 100. Thank you to join this webinar. This is the last webinar international I'm making as Attaché Education and Culture Indonesian Embassy. I hope this webinar is valuable not only for Indonesian student and teacher, but together with the Philippine student and teacher and all of join today the webinar international. Don't forget to take a certificate. We give a certificate international today, and then I hope this webinar is interesting for you and then a lot of information. Thanks again. Dengan mengucapkan Bismillah, saya buka webinar internasional pagi ini. Bismillahirrohmanirrohim. Thank you. Magandang umaga, maraming salamat. Terima kasih.
Thank you so much, Ibu Lili Nurlaili, for the opening remarks. And now to begin our webinar today, we have our keynote speaker to give us a little bit background and also information about our topic. And now our keynote speaker, she was the curriculum maker and developer of the Ministry of Education and Culture for 30 years. And as of now, she is the Education and Culture Attaché here in the Embassy of Republic of Indonesia in Manila. Without further ado, let us hear the presentation of Dr. Lilin Nurlaini.
Thank you, Mbak Manet. I want to share my keynote speaker today. Okay. That is learning that side. I'm sorry. What happened? Maybe admin, please help me.
Wait, Ibu.
Ba't palagi siya nagsasabi?
Admin. Okay, that is about learning that side with students in the new normal era. New normal, this doesn't mean that students are prepared to go back to school, but rather help prepare students to adapt to the learning situation amid the COVID-19 outbreak. Principals, parents, and students need to discuss together to evaluate the implementation of learning from home, mainly to determine what things to proceed and what to change. The essence of learning actually provides challenges and experiences to children. Only if the burden of the task is only to record textbook or solve question, then students only learn at a low level. They only learn to memorize or repeat the idea in the book. Now, many teachers are getting used to using various applications for learning, such as Google Classroom, Edumondo, quizzes, Zoom, Webex, or the like. The most important thing about distance learning is not just the use of technology. Do not let the use of technology only replace the place where the teacher lecture from the classroom, move through virtual technology. Many elements are more important in preparing for the learning process even over a distance. Which is especially important is the effort to provide learning experiences that encourage students to experience more, interact, communicate, and provide feedback in constructing knowledge so that students can learn meaningfully. Meaningful learning cites Ausubel theory, meaning that learning material is associated with the cognitive structure that students already have. In learning, students get material that are useful for their daily life. It is important to communicate about things changing situation with the child. Teacher and parents need to hear the voice of the child. Ask them what made them excited about studying, what is useful and can be developed in their changing learning process. The voice of the child can be a part of the design for the renewal of the lesson plan formulation designing by the teacher. It is students who become the estuary of successful learning. Therefore, it is important for teachers to involve students in preparing for the next lesson. Teachers and parents also need to create awareness and understanding of the meaning and implication of learning during a pandemic for children. Introduce new realities that occur in everyday conversation with children. They must be aware of the danger and risk of transmission of the virus so as to make students more alert. They must be aware of the danger and risk transmission. Prevention protocol must also be part of the daily habit of students. Start regularly washing your hand with soap for at least 20 seconds, using a mask to keep your distance. The Ministry of Education and Culture in Indonesia has confirmed that the reopening the school will be decided based on the consideration of the task force for the acceleration of handling COVID-19. In principle, the safety and health of children must be the top priority. The only need to be ensured that teachers, parents, and students must implement the virus transmission prevention protocol. In addition, the number of students per class is also limited. A maximum of 10 students in one class. Face-to-face hours are also more about quality meetings that are not more than 2 until 3 hours per day, and not necessarily every day. The school makes study shifts in classroom that are arranged in a schedule. Students who use public transportation still have to study from home. In principle, all activities that have the potential for virus transmission must be limited. Students who cannot access only learning need help. Can school lend facilities such as smart device or tablet and provide internet access for students? School budget need to be rearranged so that all students can access learning with all their limitations. Teachers who are not accustomed to using technology must be facilitated so that can use it for learning. What is also more important, help teachers to be able to provide meaningful quality learning for their students in the new learning norm. There are several important aspects that need to be considered in defining the new normal in learning during a pandemic. Anything? 1. Active family participation. When learning takes place at home, family members must be involved as learning facilitators. Shifting learning space is one thing that is substantial in the learning process, is not in the school building or the classroom. Third, individual and different learning individual and different means teaching each student must be done uniquely. Learning objective may remain the same for a group of students, but individual students may differ. And 4 is from exam to formative assessment. Learning evaluation should be used to monitor student progress, not to determine whether a student is capable or unable. Formative assessments such as demonstrations, science project, solving mathematic problem, or creating social project report are more appropriate for measuring student learning progress. These 4 aspects can be considered to help students enter the new normal era of learning. Terima kasih banyak. Maraming salamat. Selamat berwebinar. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Ibu Lili Nurlaidi, for your presentation. And now we will proceed to our next session, which is the presentation of our speakers for today. And now we have our moderator for this webinar. Our moderator, he is the Secretary of the Primary and Secondary Council from Central Board of Muhammadiyah, Sir Alpha Amir Rahman. To Sir Alpha, the time is yours.
Thank you very much, Ms. Moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Ibu Lily, Education and Culture Attaché, Embassy of the Republic of Indonesia in Manila, the Philippines. Thank you for having us here. We are very happy to cooperate with you, producing this very meaningful and interactive seminar, a web seminar, yeah, which is very important for every one of us, particularly for educators in both countries, Indonesia and the Philippines. The honorable speakers, I would like to welcome you all to be with us here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the topic today is about COVID-19 beyond the pandemic issue, learning transformation in new normal life, in new normal time. As we know that inevitably COVID-19 has tremendous impact on all aspects of life, including indeed education sector. And this webinar will explore the perceived transition from traditional or conventional to digital classroom as a consequence of learning from home. Prominent educators from Indonesia and the Philippines will share best practices in ensuring that learning transformation is still taking place meaningfully during these transitions. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome the first speaker according to the schedule given by Bu Lily. It is not as it is written in the flyer, but this is a schedule arranged by Ibu Lily. I would like to welcome Ms. Alin Alamanda. She is a public relation manager at CMOLEC Indonesia to share her best practices and her thought about this issue. Ms. Alin, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pak Alfa. The Honorable Ibu Lili Nurlaili, the Attaché of Education of Indonesia in the Philippines. Other speakers, honorable speakers, Mr. Frederick Reyes, Pak Muhammad Sayuti, Dr. Wilma, all participants, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for having me here this morning. First of all, previously I have already introduced myself, but maybe I can inform you again for the new participants. My name is Alin Almanda, and please call me Alin. I am currently working as the Marketing and Publication Manager of CMOLEC located in Jakarta, Indonesia. So this morning, Bu Lily, can I share my own presentation?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes.
I will share you the slide first. So can you see my slides now, Pak Alfa?
Yes, very clearly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So this morning, I am very delighted to be invited as one of the speakers by Ibu Lily. My presentation entitled New Normal, New Opportunities. So I would deliver some inspirations set up by the Ministry of Education and Culture of Indonesia through the Director General of Early Childhood Care Education, Basic and Secondary Education. It is actually a guidance set up by the Director General and specially designed for the learning activities during the COVID-19 pandemic and also later in the new normal activity of learning in Indonesia. So these are the policy and strategy which are always updated by the Ministry of Education and Culture in Indonesia, depend on the current status. Okay, first of all, before I go to the my material, so allow me to introduce my organization first. This is the preview of our lobby building. Maybe Bu Lily, have you ever visited CMOLEC in Jakarta? So this is CMU Regional Open Learning Center. We are one among the 26 centers of CMU located in Jakarta, Indonesia. There are 6 more, so total 7 CMU centers located in Indonesia only. Maybe for the Philippines participants, you are more familiar with CMU Sarka or CMU Innotech, so we are the sister centers of them. this is the vision of our center, to be the center of expertise in open and distance learning, or ODL. This is actually our focus, yeah, our focus in the field of education is ODL. And our mission is to assist CMEO member countries. There are 11 member countries of CMEO in identifying educational problems and finding alternative solutions for sustainable human resource development through the dissemination and effective use of ODL. Oops, sorry. So this is the motto of Simolec, which is Simolec Cares, stands for collaboration, accountability, responsiveness, and relevance, effectiveness and efficiency, and the last one is synergy. We always carried out our program based on this motto. So if I can say the 4 core tasks or the main function of Simolec spread in these 4 tasks. Yeah, the first one is we do training and workshop to teach and to share knowledge with educators, mostly in 11 member countries of Southeast Asia. We also conduct research and development. We also share information and give consultancy service to institutions who would like to implement open and distance learning. So this presentation of mine this morning will specifically address these 3 questions. The first one is how COVID-19 pandemic changes education. The second one is how learning and assessment being conducted and how to foster character education in new normal. Let's begin with the first part. This is how COVID-19 pandemic changes education. Just last year, we are listened to various webinar conference talking about the Industry Revolution 4.0, which prepare us to be ready to the what do you call, technology-based education, technology-based in any aspect of life. And this year in 2020, we got this COVID-19 pandemic, not only in Southeast Asia, not only in our countries, but also in the whole world. Yeah. So it changed. If there's a silver lining of this situation of the COVID-19 pandemic, it must be the habituation of ICT utilization of all side of all parties. Yeah, not only the teacher, the student, the parents, all of us must interact each other using the technology or ICT based in education especially. So this is what happened in Indonesia. The policy released by the Ministry of Education in the schooling level, we have canceled our national exam due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And then the final exam for junior classes would be replaced by online tests, home assignments, and decided by the students' portfolio and previous school performance. And the use of TV edukasi or Televisi Pendidikan Indonesia or education TV, this one is the national television which can be received by the TV sets in every house in Indonesia. And the Rumah Belajar, this is a portal, a learning management system provided by the Ministry of Education, which provide digital lessons, electronic textbooks, and practice assessment tools aligned with the curriculum. Meanwhile, in higher education, the online learning system program is called SPADA. This is specially designed only for higher education. The learning process involves 70% of remote learning or online courses and 30% of face-to-face meeting for practices and practicum. This is the 30% face-to-face meeting can also be conducted virtually using Zoom or any other platforms of online meeting. Still considering the health protocol, less density, less contact, and no crowd in 3 semesters of campus learning. This has already happened in Indonesia using this policy released by the ministry. So if you can see here, this is what is really changing in every part of the world, yeah, from class, from face-to-face interaction into school from home or teaching and learning at home, yeah. So parents also involved in this, and now they can figure out how hard it is to be the teacher or the lecturers, yeah. And yeah, basically the students are the center of all learning education now. I mean in the whole learning process now. So all the facilities, the lecturer and expert, the lab, the learning resources, all are accessible to the student. I'm talking about the ideal condition, usually in the big cities, yeah. But for the less fortunate students who located in the remote areas, there are also learning resources that can be used in form of printed modules or printed learning materials provided by the teachers and sent to them through the postal service, or the parents can take it to the school or to the office of Ministry of Education in the regional area. So this is what happens. Learning environment basically are changing from real to virtual. But so far we manage this education system in Indonesia with, of course, with still many difficulties to overcome, but the ministry and all the units, including Simolek as one of the units of the Ministry of Education, are trying our best to improve the quality of teachers through our training programs, provide them with ICT skills and knowledge to help them also improve their teaching process in the school. So yeah, this is, as we all always maybe doing it every day with Zoom or Google Meeting or WebEx, we do all the things virtually now. So basically, if I can put it in a diagram, the media will help teachers and students to interact. So there is less and less face-to-face meeting between teachers and students, but they have to use the media to reach them. Now I have come to the second part of the presentation. This is how learning and assessment being conducted. So speaking of how learning and assessment should be conducted during the new normal, we must first look at and analyze how is the risk of the area. So here is in Indonesia, we have Indonesian risk zone. We classified into 4 different color. The red zone is considered high risk. The orange zone is considered medium risk. The yellow is low risk, and the green zone is no risk. So Indonesian government created the task force for handling COVID-19 and also issued the presidential instruction, which instructs all ministers, not only ministers of education, but all ministers, the COVID-19 task force, law enforcement apparatuses, as well as governors, regions, and mayors. They have to take all necessary measures to intensify their efforts in preventing further COVID-19 infections in their respective jurisdictions. So in order to develop the design, the learning design for each area, all the school must decide which risk zone are they now located. Is it the red one, the orange one, the yellow one, or the green one? And this can be seen from the risk zone map is and it is weekly updated. So every week the data changes and it can be found in the covid19.go.id, the website. So it's based on this risk zone area, we can determine which type of learning activities can be conducted in the school. So this one is, as I said earlier, making sure in which risk zone the school is located. It can be seen in the map, the COVID-19 risk zone map, or the second one, refer to the official letter issued by the governor or mayors of regions or educational office, which also will decide their location as belong in which zone, the color zone. Or also held a discussion forum with school committee who are parents of the students regarding the policy released by the authority and what the school will do in terms of their learning activities. So For example, yeah, I take one location, maybe Jakarta is belong to the red zone. This is the learning and assessment designed for the red and orange zone. As you can see here, there is a scheme, yeah, for 2 weeks blended learning. So the first that has to be done is the orientation. This is not only to the students, but also to the parents. For example, what will be done by the school in the next month or in the next 2 weeks. This is the ideal scheme proposed by the Ministry of Education as the inspiration only. So all the school, all the teachers can develop, can modify based on their own needs. Yeah. So this is the 2 weeks blended learning. The first 3 days is the face-to-face meeting, but it's conducted in virtual because it belongs to the red zone, so there are no face-to-face meetings. So it is conducted virtually. This is where the teachers share the learning materials for the next 2 weeks. And then followed with the 7 days self-learning. This is the part where students do their assignment, where they read the materials given by the teachers and do all the things related to their learning by themselves. And then the last 4 days is free days, but we are not only talking free days as very free, but they also have to like help the parents at home, contribute to the community by maybe cleaning their own house environment, and also do some sports, do religious activities. So it's not only the free days. So this scheme would be best implemented if it involves the 3 important roles, which are the teachers, the learners, and the parents. So this is the sample of class schedule. For the virtual meeting, day 1 to 3, maybe on the first day, the teacher can share about math, social science, and art craft. And then the second day, the Indonesian language, English, and science. And in the third day, ICT, religious subjects, physical education. This can be modified by the teachers based on the learning subject that they have. And then the self-learning day from day 4 to day 10, they finish the assignment, project-based learning, or STEM education, whatever the teachers assign them to do. And as I said earlier, the free days can be with social activities, helping parents at home, cleaning environments, and etc. So this one is for the yellow and the green zone. This is considered the low risk and the no risk. So the 1 week blended learning scheme can be done, the first 3 days can be done in face-to-face mode. But of course, with prior orientation of what to be done in the next week to students and to parents. Whether the parents will give permission to the students to come into the school is also allowed for the parents to not allow their kids to go to the school. It can be also done face-to-face and virtually. And 2 days for self-learning to do the assigned tasks by the teachers, and 2 days for free days. This is only 1 week blended learning scheme because they are in a low risk and a no risk zone. Yeah. So still the 3 important roles here: teachers, learners, and parents have to work together to have a better education during this hard time. And also the face-to-face, usually the Ministry of Education suggested to do it like 50% of the class, not all students in one class coming into the same time. So maybe different week or different days of half of the class mates, yeah. And this is a sample, just like the previous one, day 1 and 3, is all the materials given by the teachers. The self-learning time, day 4 and day 5, they finish the assignment. And the free days, day 6 and 7, they do the social activities, help parents, etc. Okay, talking about the assessment, yeah, we pay attention to these 3 things to assess: the attitude, the knowledge, and the skills. So for the attitude, special instrument maybe can be provided by the teachers to parents, and not only parents, yeah, because maybe the judgment from the parents will be subjective, but also can involve the community leaders to fill out, the neighbors also to help to fill out the instruments whether the kids do good in their environment. And then as for the knowledge, this is basically just the assessment of learning outcomes. If the student always submit their assignments, that can be graded by the teachers using LMS application or printed worksheet. And the last one is the portfolio for students. This one also provided by the teachers. The students' portfolio to be filled out to what do you call, to show how the students acquired the skills from the learning, yeah. And the learning can be in form of project-based, the assessment can be in form of project-based learning where 2 or 3 or 4 teachers collaborate giving one assessment or one assignment to the students. Therefore, by doing just one assignment, he or she or the students will be able to acquire knowledge from 3 to 4 subjects. And these are the 5 aspects to be prepared for distance learning implementation. The first one is the readiness of infrastructure, and then mapping teachers' competency in utilizing ICT. The third one is lesson plan. The fourth one is students' readiness. And the last one is guidance for distance learning implementation. In my presentation, I am talking about the last one, yeah, the 5th one. This is the guidance for distance learning implementation for early childhood and basic and secondary education in Indonesia. So this, I'm talking about the ideal condition suggested by the ministry. So this is the statement belongs to Praptono, Mr. Praptono, from the Director of Teacher and Education Personnel for Secondary and Special Education. He was one of our speakers in Simolek webinar. He said that the first and foremost principle is to prioritize the health and safety of school residents, as well as the well-being and growth of students. So anything we'll do based on the teachers and parents' agreement how to conduct the school in new normal. And this is the last one, yeah, because during the online learning, it's difficult to assess the character education. This is also some inspiration for teachers to foster the positive characters of the students. In Indonesia, there are actually 18 positive characters, which is the focus of character education. But here I just shared some of the most talked about is the religious, nationalism, honest, tolerance, independent, integrity, responsible, care, confidence, and polite. There are actually many more. So these are the efforts on fostering character education. It still has to involve the teachers, the parents, the students themselves to own the good character, and then the community involvement. These 4 sides will help the education, the character education to grow better in this new normal era. So it involves financial literacy, numeracy literacy, and science literacy. This is how to foster character education through community or family-based literacy, because in this hard time of pandemic, the family and the community is very dependable for the educational, for the character education, I mean. So character education is not a new thing, yeah. It's not a new subject or new curriculum, but it is strengthening and focus of the learning process as the axis of the spirit of education. So efforts on fostering character education, as I said, should involve teachers, parents, community, and students. So for these 3 literacy, several examples of financial literacy are like introducing students to the activities that earn money, like sell things or services, and teaching them how to manage their own money and being responsible as to take notes of their spending. And then asking students to keep money at the bank or piggy bank to practice being disciplined, and practicing the 3 R's method like reduce, reuse, and recycle. For the second one, the numeracy literacy, parents can involve students in doing transaction in the market. Yeah, so whenever they are in traveling together, parents can ask the students to pay attention to the time, pay attention to how long is the distance from our home to our the place that we are going. And then reading the food recipe, weighing the materials, the flour, the eggs need to cook, yeah, and counting the different total money spent on, for example, electricity or water bill every month. This will help students or the kids to understand the numeracy literacy bit better. As for science literacy, maybe the parents can ask their kids to read information or news together and discuss about it, or maybe talking about a specific disease or the pandemic or the COVID-19 pandemics and the impacts in the society. So this is the inspiration of implementation of character education. I basically take this from Pa Alfa's presentation before this webinar. Yeah, maybe the three things can be done before online class, during online class, and after online class. So the teacher and the parents keep on reminding the kids, for example, like before the online class, they can be asked to clean up their bed, to do the morning prayer, to help prepare breakfast for the family, to do sport, or prepare for online class. And then during online class, they will start pray before learn, just like we did this morning, yeah, with this webinar. We pray before we learn, and then fill out class presence list, listening to teachers attentively, do and send assignments as requested in due time. And then after online class, they can do their positive hobby like reading or doing sports. They can play with their siblings also and do religious activities. This will be prepared and instructed by the parents, probably because they spend most of their times at home. So before I close this presentation, I would like to quote from Charles Darwin that it is not the strongest or the species, it is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. So we are now in the position where we have to be adaptable to survive. Okay, that's all from me, Bu Lily, Pak Alfa. Thank you very much for having me this morning. I'm sorry if there's any wrong statement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Alin, for very inspiring presentations and for sharing with us the best practices of educational institutions in Indonesia, as well as the policy set up by the government in order to deal with this pandemic. And interestingly, also, it was mentioned the character education was also elaborated, which is, I think, is important during this pandemic because many teachers are still having difficulties. How can we have a character education? We are not facing students. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Alin, again for the presentations. Now, I would like to welcome the second speaker, Dr. Wilma C. Manio, MA. Elementary School Principal for Maligaya Elementary School, School Division's Office of Quezon City. The floor is yours, madam. Thank you.
Salamat pagi, Indonesia. Pinagpalat magandang araw, Pilipinas.
Morning, good pagi.
Good morning, especially to our elite men and women who are here with us, headed by Ibu Lily. Thank you so much for the invitation. According to Anthony J.D. Angelo, develop a passion for learning. If you do, you will never cease to grow. The pandemic has accelerated efforts of educators all over the world. It is in transforming schools into more capable and more flexible. And ensuring quality education homes for the kids. Because I am pretty sure that you and I strongly believe that education should not stop. Transforming breakthroughs or breakdowns to breakthroughs requires influence from our teachers who have the story to inspire, contribution to collaborate, and vision to fulfill. A number of researchers have attempted formulating a semantic definition of quality education, so they have assembled a comprehensive agenda of transformative education, especially in catering education from traditional to blended learning to enhance effectiveness in the educational needs of our learners. Indonesia and Philippines have always been fostering great partnerships using parallel objectives on the demand on the global education system. We work hand in hand with generous motivation in exchanging programs. In times of pandemic, learning should never cease. Instead, make the most out of it. Let's utilize the situation to be more productive in investing education. According to our Department of Education Secretary, the challenge is to develop general ability to learn knowledge and skill for solving real-world problems and challenges. We are all aware that most of us, if not all of us, have been moving into the direction of future education even without COVID-19, which is industrialization 4.0 or industrial revolution 4.0. We really need digital cooperation strategy to ensure high quality and also enrich equity of education. Today, with great honor and utmost motivation, I will share pieces of relevant information in the learning transformation in the new normal education setup of the students in one of the schools in the Philippines. My topic has an acronym of transform. Letter T is trends in the new normal. In the Philippine setup, we are not yet having face-to-face, just like what I saw in Madam Alin's presentation. Most of us are into online learning and in modular phase. Okay. Letter R of transform is revisiting theories. What does leadership in school or in an organization means? It means the action of leading a group of people or an organization. It talks about guidance, control, management, direction, and authority. Next. In leadership, there are 8 primary styles: autocratic, authoritative, pace-setting, democratic, coaching, affiliative, laissez-faire, and transformative, which is what the common, what the world needs as of the moment to transform our minds into the new setup. Transformational leadership theory, transformational leadership is a theory of leadership where a leader works with a team to identify needed change, creating a vision, guiding the change through inspiration, and executing the change in tandem to command members or with committed members of a group. It is an integral part of a full range leadership model. Here are some of the things that we should learn, or we are to be capable of in order to be one of the best leaders where we are. Start by understanding your leadership style. What kind of culture is your group or group of people or your organization is? Encourage creativity. Try to make action researches. Try to innovate and so on. Serve as a role model. You are not the boss, but you are the servant of the flock. Be passionate. Be humane, and be emphatic, and be a sister to all the peers that you have in school or in the group that you are. Listen and communicate effectively. Always be 24/7 ready to the different things that are happening with your staff and with the stakeholders that you have. And always bear a positive attitude. Go for the win, always. Letter A is to activate vision. In my school, our vision is to have a happy school. Happy means home of appreciation and peak performance through year-long activities, programs, and projects. Letter N, new challenges that need to be solved. These are the things that are being encountered by mostly all of the education leaders that we have. Teaching performance should be updated or should be developed or should be upskilled. Enrollment, which is decreasing, should be normalized, or all of the kids that are of school age should be in school. Dropout should be avoided so that all the kids will have access to education. Unconducive environment or the school setup or even the homes are not ready for the new normal thing. Underperforming school or the children are not that good when it comes to performance tests or assessment that are being given. Non-readers are rampant, or there are so many non-readers, so it should be solved. Teachers should be more motivated, not less motivated. And limited resources, which is a common thing in the Philippines, is one of the things that we need to learn how to cope up or to augment the limited resources that we have in school by the different techniques or strategies that the heads should do. Next, please. Letter S is strategize to achieve the goals. So these are the things that we are, or we did, or we are doing at present. We have Project Jump, which is judiciously understand measures to ensure promotion, meaning every kid should be counted. If there are pupils who cannot join online, the teacher will going to contact the, look for how, or look for ways on how to contact the parent or the parents, the guardians of the kids, so that they will be abreast with what is happening inside the classroom. And every now and then, monitoring is being done, not just by the teacher, but even by the administrators. We have early or ECCB checklist, which is being done for elementary kids in order for us to find out where is their baseline and how we can tackle their skills that they have and that they don't have. Then, following the DepEd mandate, all of the schools are tasked to make school learning continuity plan before the school started. So for us, we conducted survey from the parents on what scheme they want. Is it a modular, or is it online, or is it blended, or whatever? So after the survey, we found out that there are kids, there are at least a limited number of kids who can join the online. Hence, we go with the modular scheme of learning, which is giving modules every Friday or even every 2 weeks when the resources are at hand. The second project we have is Project TOGA, Teaching Optimally to Ensure Graduation of All Learners. Meaning we have a constant follow-up, we have different programs and projects and activities being done so that every kid is ensured of going to the next level after the school year. Project involved is involving parents and other stakeholders to be with us. These were done during the old normal, but this time we have pools of parents who are going to school on scheduled basis, but they are the population of parents going in is limited so that we can avoid the infection, but they go to school not just to get the modules, but to help us with disinfection and sorting of the different materials to be given to the kids. Level up or project lead is level up to achieve dreams, meaning we like our teachers, not just our pupils, to progress. We want our teachers to be promoted or to go step higher with their professional growth. Hence, they are pursuing masteral and doctoral degree, which is being done now in the distance learning. And we offer different webinars and different insets so that they will be capacitated. Project Smile is securing, maintain, improve learning environment. Even though we don't have face-to-face and the kids are not around, we still try to maintain the cleanliness and the beautification of the school. Here is an example. We have tires from the jeepney drivers that are being used for decorating our school as sunflowers. We have a great vineyard in front of the school, and at the facade of the school, it was repainted and it was there is a mural painting of the different sustainable development goals of UNESCO. Covered court is also rehabilitated. There are so many hanging plants around so that the air will be less polluted. We have mat garden for the kids. And we do Project Friend, which is fostering relevant intervention for excellent nooks for holistic development, which is to teach children values even though they are at home. So our guidance teacher and the advisors are doing the day-to-day value integration in their lessons. And we also give online webinars and seminars for drug awareness, for how to take care of themselves if they are in the menstruating period, and so on. Next, please. Project GLAD is about gender development. So we also do online learnings, not just for our teachers, but even for parents and for kids about gender sensitivity. Next is Project Yes, or yearly enrollment strategy. At the start of the school year, we were worried, we were quite worried because there were parents who were reluctant in sending their pupils to school. But we had different campaigns in order for them to go back to school and to be motivated to still pursue learning in spite of the new thing that we have. We have teachers and parents who are campaigning around the community, telling them that we have online enrollment, and even through manual enrollment, which was done by the different community stakeholders per barangay or per sitio or per group of houses. Next, please. Project Lusog is level up on ultimate sound body and optimal good habits. We conducted the different feeding programs and different activities in order to teach kids how to love a healthy body and sound mind. So we also have partners who are sending us different donations so that kids will still eat properly. There are 300 families being given every week with the food augmentation program coming from Ateneo de Manila University. There are different goods given every week, and the families are so elated being given the opportunity to not to mind the bills to buy the food for 1 or 2 days. So the program is such a blessing to not just to us but even to the kids, so that they will not be dropping out of school. Next. Project Bibo is bringing in bright outlook, child mapping, looking for the kids that are of school age to go back to school and to be in school during the start of a school year. Next. Upland Green or Green Revolution for Environment Enhancement and Nourishment. We have gulayan sa paaralan or vegetable gardens in the different parts of our school, so that the limited space that we have will be used to augment the feeding program, not just for our kids, but even for the people who are helping us daily with the upkeep of the school. Next. Project Top is Teachers Outstanding Program. We conduct online observation and technical assistance to teachers who are in need of additional skills, additional strategies for them to be effective in their day-to-day teaching. Project Literate is learning involves teaching and enhanced attributes towards excellence, meaning a recovery program for those who are not yet literate when it comes to reading. Doing different innovations for them to be partner with their neighbors or with their peers or with the professionals who are volunteering for tutorial for free for the kids who are still at risk at and illiterate or non-comprehensive with the written text. Project Clean is creating learning environment attuned with the needs. Meaning every day we try to disinfect using power sprays or different different partnerships with the barangay or with the other stakeholders and with the personnel that we have, so that to ensure that every corner of the school, whenever parents are getting their modules or whenever visitors will be coming in, are safe and will be COVID-free. Project Count is for numeracy training or for mathematics, ensuring that kids know the different fundamental skills and the different strategies on how to solve different problems when it comes to math. Guide Project is giving a divided instruction to develop expertise, meaning intensifying the number of teachers meeting in order to meet or to know the different Waterloos that they have and what they need in order to perform more. We have teleconferences, we have in-service trainings. We offer them different free and informative webinars for them to be updated and be on the go with the new normal. Next. Project Dream is deriving realization through experimentation for activities, in activities for masters. This is in line with how to do things or applying the skills that they know in the real sense of the word. Next. Project Achieve is achieving 100% attendance, meaning every teacher should go to school every day or they should attend to their online and modular class every day, look for the welfare of the children every day, and every pupil is accounted for, that they should be in the lesson that is being done for the day. Project REAM is reading enrichment through academic mastery of the pupils, which is a partnership with parents and their families in order for a kid who is at risk of being illiterate to go on and be a comprehensive reader. Letter F for transform is forging partnerships. In the Philippines, we are not that we have limited resources in some ways, but there are so many people around who are trying to help schools in order to augment the needs that are pressing in the situation. These are book donations for our kids coming from the Philippine Navy. This is the augmentation program for food for the indigent or the less fortunate families, 300 families in total. Distribution of school supplies by the different malls we have around. School supplies for the incoming kids, for the information of everyone who are not in the Quezon City, who are not Quezon City based. We have free school supplies coming from the LGU. All of the kids were given, but we also have partner GMA Kapuso Foundation who is giving free school supplies for kinder and grade 1 pupils. We have Rotarians who are helping us around with what we need, with disinfection, with ICT materials that will be used for online learning and so on. Health kits and school supplies coming from the police officers of the National Capital Region, giving us different materials such as papunban, printing materials, and so on that are being used by teachers. Next. Free school supplies. Next. Every year in the Philippines, we have the school maintenance week, which we call Brigada Escuela. It is a week long, or not just week long. It can prosper until all the things that we need are at hand. There are so many individuals who are helping us by dropping by and telling us, what do you need? Then or by emailing them, they will know what we need, and they are giving us back their help generously. Okay, next. Letter O is open lines for sustainable partnership, meaning the partnership should not stop after they give the donation. You should try to thank them. Whenever I am being interviewed, I try to tell everyone how grateful I am and the school is by the help that is being sent. And sharing the best practices that we do in school so that others will be inspired and will go for the better one. During every Friday or every module giving or distribution, parents usually do this. Before they go to school, they are undergoing thermal scanner. They have the protocol of logging in their basic information for tracing if ever there will be one or two who will be positive with COVID in school. Then they disinfect. They proceed going through the pattern of the different markings on the floor. They ensure that everyone who goes in are observing social distancing with face masks and with face shield and other health protocols that are being implemented. Parents are constant partners of us, so we have a partner or a Rotary Club who is partnering with us in helping us with the transportation finance by paying the tricycle drivers who are sending the modules of those kids who cannot get theirs by because of reasons. Some have senior citizen guardians, some have parents who are working, both are working, so they cannot send someone to get the modules. Hence, we try to do this distribution by the tricycle drivers. Letter R is remember to celebrate small and big successes. Even though we are in the pandemic, we try to give or to uplift the morale of the field or our people. I try to give Principal's Award for good deeds or for exemplary performance being done by teachers and being done by the pupils. I try to give blowout to those who are winning and to those who are doing extra effort for the school. Recently, we joined the Brigada Escuela Jingled and we ranked 6th in the regional contest. And some of our teachers were awarded in the regional NCR Learning Continuity Plan champions because they were contributors in writing different modules, activity sheets, and worksheets, and some are quality evaluators and so on. Every Christmas party, I try to give awards. I am trying to give contests that will motivate them. Some are cash, or some are in kind, and so on, so that the best will shine. A day before the pandemic, we also had the foundation day of the schools, celebrating the different achievements that we have. And the last one is measure performance and stay grateful. At the end of the day, what matters most is how happy we are with the things that we did. As of the moment, after the evaluation, after the online evaluation of the school-based management of the division office, we were rated level 3, which is the highest, meaning we are advanced in accredited level, meaning some can benchmark with us so that we can help them with what we do and teach them the proper ways that we are implementing as of the moment. There are also several teachers who were promoted thanks to our dear superintendent, Dr. Janilyn Rose B. Corpus, who is so passionate in helping not just schools, but even teachers to be upskilled and to be promoted. And some of the divisions that we have around are also benchmarking with us so that we collaborate with one another and we help one another to better our craft and to make our school the best ones. This is a tour in an advanced accredited Philippine school, Maligaya Elementary School. I am assigned here for just a year. I am just new in the school. This is the facade of the school. Newly renovated covered court. We have a new school-based management area where we store all our artifacts and documents. Our library haven, our mat garden, our Malunggay Avenue Reading Center or Reading Corner. We have different wash areas that will be used by the parents when getting the modules and the kids if they will be coming back to school. We have tires garden coming from the jeepneys or from the cars of the different stakeholders around. The great vineyards, a new renovated school clinic. We have an ICT room for teachers during their online classes. We have a disaster risk management office wherein the different materials are in store if there will be calamities that will be going around, just like what we had in the recent weeks. A newly painted and a newly rehabilitated guidance office. From Sir ENR, change leads to disappointment if it is not sustained. Transformation sustains change, and it is achieved through practice. Education must continue in this wild, wide, wired world. Thank you so much.
Halo, Pak Alfa. Pak Alfa. Ya.
Thank you so much for listening and for watching what we are doing in Maligaya Elementary.
Ya, unmute, Pak.
Sorry. Thank you very much for Dr. Wilma for the presentations. Now I would like to, we are going to discuss this much deeper during the discussion after this. I would like now to welcome the next speaker, Mr. Muhammad Sayuti, MED, PhD, to present his paper. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amir Rahman. Do you hear me?
Yes, very clearly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I will share my presentation. Where is it? Let's see. Okay. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I want to express my gratitude to Allah Almighty because of His love and who bestowing us with health and opportunity to present and to join this webinar. Many and million people affected by the COVID-19, and so far, the God Almighty protect us from the COVID, and we wish His protection will continue until COVID-19 gone from Earth. Secondly, I want to express also my appreciation to Dr. Lily, the Attaché of Education and Culture of Indonesia in Manila. Also, Dr. Amirul Rahman as the moderator, also all speaker, and of course, all participants in this seminar. The topic of our seminar, our webinar, is COVID-19 beyond the pandemic issue, learning transformation in new normal time. My presentation is quite concise. Dr. Amir Rahman and Bu Lili, to the point, addressing the transformation we need to do in this era, in this time. Okay, I will put. As we all aware about the pandemic, also in terms of Indonesia, it's very unique in dealing with the pandemic because we are very diverse and we have many disparities among in many conditions. So Indonesia with the 17,000 island is very diverse in culture. Some of the Tagalog is similar to Indonesia. I can recognize few of them. We are very diverse in culture, in language, livelihood, natural condition, and also food. So, Dr. Alfa, if you travel across Indonesia from Papua to Aceh, from North Sulawesi to Kupang, we can see many different food. Sometimes in different district, they have different food. We are very rich in terms of food. So it's part of the diversity of Indonesia. Also, we have a lot of aspect in disparity among area or location in Indonesia. The disparity in teacher in some area in Java, we may have abundance of teacher, over number of teacher, but some area in Indonesia, we are starving, we are very limited teacher available in some area, because I saw in small island outskirts of Maumere, so the teacher for primary school is only graduated from high school. So this is very what I call the situation among area is the disparity is very high. So in terms of the teacher quality, also teaching skill, in some school, maybe in Jakarta or in Yogyakarta, we have with very skillful teacher, but in other area, no like media available in that school. Also, disparity in learning environment, educational facilities, of course, yes. Today, if we read the newspaper, Kompas, there is a report from the World Bank how diverse on the disparity of educational facilities among area in Indonesia. So also maybe Bu Lily already aware of this situation. You can see disparity also include in the area of educational facilities. Include here, I have to mention about the IT infrastructure. So as a lecturer in university, I'm dealing with the same problem. Actually, my campus offer like a learning management system for teaching, but many of my students, even university students dealing with the same problem, they don't have proper internet access to open and then to learn from the LMS, learning management system, provided by my university. Also, if we read carefully and thoroughly of the PISA assessment, we can see that the literacy, math, and science, we are very far below the OECD average. This is the challenge of Indonesian education, also in the school system in Indonesia, where the literacy level is quite low compared to other OECD countries, for example. So this is the challenge of Indonesia, education Indonesia, school Indonesia dealing with the pandemic of COVID-19. Of course, it's very obvious that disparities, also the diversities I mentioned before, impact to education sector and school as our discussion topic today. The disparity in the pandemic time create teacher shock. We can see that this unprecedented pandemic is creating teacher shock because they customize with the conventional learning environment, and then after start maybe in March, they have to change the whole material, the whole teaching process into online. Also, parent in the same situation, there is a parent shock in terms of having the student, having the children that usually go to school, and then since in March until today, they stay home all the time, and then this is very challenging for parents where they usually put all the children and then what they call 100% rely on the school system, but in the current situation, in the pandemic era, all the children studying home. So this is another parent shock that we are dealing today. Also school shock because of the maybe unpreparedness of the school, because as we know, maybe in Indonesia, in the most location, we are rely on the conventional method in teaching and delivery. Of course, the government also dealing with the shock of the inability to deliver the policy. As we know, maybe start in March into April or maybe July, before the subsidy for data. So we are dealing with very what we call as uncontrolled maybe the learning process. Another unique characteristic of school in Indonesia, I don't know in the Philippines, but in Indonesia, our school system is dominated by institution under private foundation. Private here doesn't mean that maybe under the big company, but mostly under the social organization, social foundation, where also Muhammadiyah, where Pak Dr. Amirul Rahman is the secretary of the Council of Primary and Secondary School. The contribution of private provider in some level of education in Indonesia reached to 75 to 94%. For example, in tertiary education, in higher education, the contribution of private sector, private education, private university, private institute is almost 94%. The contribution of the government funded or the public university are only around 6 or 7% in tertiary education. The second slide for the challenge of learning during the pandemic is our finding, our robust study conducted by the BAN, National Accreditation Council, revealed that the vital contribution of learning process and teacher quality to the quality of school or madrasah graduate. This is very important finding. We do not rely to the infrastructure or the facilities provided by school, but actually the key factor of the quality of education is on two aspects. The first one is learning process. We have to maintain, we have to maintain and develop best learning process to achieve the aim, the goal of our education. And the second one is the contribution of teacher quality. This is very important and very essential factor that are affected deeply during the pandemic. As we know, as we are aware, the learning process may be going maybe very low or very far from the ideal during the pandemic. Also, the teacher, they are dealing with the same problem because they are not really prepared, because this semester, maybe from January, all the plan, as we can read from what we call RPS, for conventional, but start in March, they have to change dramatically to online. In our new instrument of accreditation, we measure, we assess the two aspects. Yes, I will mention, I will explain maybe in the last slide. In the new instrument of accreditation, do we have school, Indonesian school in Manila, Bu Lily? No. Do we have Indonesian school in Manila?
Yes, in Davao. We have School of Indonesia, Davao.
Okay,
Not Manila.
With the new instrument of accreditation, we are changing. If you can see this slide, we are transforming from what we call with compliance-based accreditation into performance-based accreditation, with more emphasis on learning process, teacher quality, and school management. In the past, in the previous version of the accreditation instrument, we are more compliant-based, and according to research of the Haywood, what we call as compliant or rule-based accreditation and performance-based accreditation, the two are very, resulting very different result. According to the paper by Haywood, the rule-based accreditation doesn't improve the quality, but performance-based accreditation is more addressing of school quality. Okay, I will back to the my slide about the what transformation we need in this normal time. Of course, communication and other infrastructure supporting online learning is the responsibility of the government. The government spending and then the government ability to improve to building good infrastructure for support online learning. However, for our job, for our responsibility, in the school level or in the policymaker in terms of private education in Indonesia, we have to speed up the use of IT in education sector. This is very obvious. And then as we know, abundant online resource and teaching method are available. For example, the material provided by the Siamio, the office of Dr. Alpha, refer to the presentation of what her name? I forget. Sorry.
Ibu Alin.
Oh, Ibu Alin, yes. We can see from her presentation, as abundant online resource and teaching method are available from Siamio, Dr. Alpha office. But I mentioned, I put the important aspect that we have to transform in this new normal time is the role of parent. Abundant studies expose the important role of parent involvement in the success of their children in school. The pandemic, as we are aware, reinforced the awareness of parent contribution on education. School have responsibility not only to teach their students, but also their parents. This contact, this parent involvement, I might say this is the basic responsibility of parent. Actually, we are going to the basic that education actually is the responsibility of the parent. The pandemic reinforced this awareness when the children back home and then they don't go to school for almost 1 year or maybe 1.5 years or 2 years in the future, we are all parents are aware. We have to be aware that actually the basic responsibility of education is on parents. So in this transformation, we need to teach not only our students, but also teaching the parent. Maybe the same webinar like this also demanded to be conducted for parents, what I call as parenting. Not only teaching the student, but we have also doing parenting to teach the parent how to teach the children home. This is very challenging issue for parents because as we know, most of the parents just put all the responsibility to school. This is the first transformation. We have to teach not only students but also parents, and then doing many different type and different webinar or maybe discussion how to improve the parent involvement in teaching. Yes. In many like WhatsApp group, we can see sometimes very funny situation. The parent like back to school, back to learn about mathematics, back to learn like language or bahasa, back to learn about very basic knowledge in mathematics or English or other subject or science, and then their children is just watching their parent back to study again. This situation, I emphasize here that the parent must be open-minded and then back to learn how to deal with their school, with their children doing their school. The second one, innovation in online learning. this is not only innovation because, as I mentioned before, the local challenge and then the availability of good internet connection is very challenging for all teachers in Indonesia, especially in the remote area. Outside Java Island, maybe Sumatra, Kalimantan, Sulawesi, all teachers having the same problem. For example, actually, the CMU already provided learning management system or online resources for teacher, but we are dealing with very limited access of internet that the student having. So, for example, transformation from LMS or from video, which is very heavy in the data communication, change to WhatsApp, or for example, it's very popular in Indonesia, and then we have to deal that teacher teach the children only using WhatsApp sometimes. Yes, that the reality in Indonesia. So without innovation and then without problem solving skill of teacher, we are maybe the learning process is stopped completely. So the teacher must be very creative, yes, transforming the material that provided in LMS into only with or through WhatsApp, which is more available and then accessible for students. The last aspect that I address in my presentation is IT and technology may replace teacher as the source of knowledge or skill, yes. However, love, inspiration, and courage cannot be replaced. In this context, I want to give more emphasis to teacher. Yes, we are dealing with difficulty in learning, but don't forget with the love, inspiration you give to your student. Yes, we are dealing with big problem in transferring knowledge in this time because of the limited access of internet, but don't forget to keep your love and inspiration to your student, because this is unreplaceable with any other media of or delivery method. So this is the third aspect that I want to give, I want to share with all teacher and then the participant of this webinar. Yes, teachers should transform their voice in teaching from transfer of knowledge into transfer of inspiration and values, which is more maybe creativity is needed for teacher, and then we have maybe more relaxed way of transfer of inspiration, because if we are transferring like knowledge in mathematics and science, maybe we dealing with many difficulties in very limited like access to internet, but your love and speech inspiration, I think is many way to deliver and to share with your students. I think that's all my presentation, Dr. Amirul Rahman. So I want to replace the point of my presentation. The first one is the role of parent. We are responsible to improve the involvement of parent in education. And then the second one, teacher must be creative in dealing with the pandemic in terms of the way of we are delivering the material to our student. And then the last point in my presentation is love, inspiration, and courage. Any teacher can deliver, can what building the student with more flexible ways to share your love, inspiration, and courage to the student. Thank you very much. And then I'm looking forward for more deep discussion after my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sayuti, for the inspiring explanation and presentations about this issue. You mentioned about the role of parents, You also mentioned about the facility of ICD, which is really lacking in some remote areas, and then the importance of teachers, to make sure that they are not only transferring knowledge but also values and inspiration. Thank you so much, Pak Sayuti. Now I would like to welcome the last speaker, the Honorable Dr. Frederick Reyes, to please present your paper. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Mr. Reyes.
Salamat pagi.
Selamat pagi, Pak Reyes.
Pagi, Pak Reyes.
I would just like, first of all, to extend my gratitude to the Indonesian Embassy, in a special way to our Education and Cultural Attaché, Dr. Lily Norlaili, our Ibu Lily. Thank you for this opportunity to be able to speak this morning. And to our moderator, Dr. Alpha Amirahman, my fellow panelists, Dr. Wilma, Madam Aline, and Dr. Muhammad Sayuti. It's a pleasure to be speaking along with you this morning. So may I request if my presentation be shown?
Please.
Salamat. Salamat. All right. On the first slide, please. We are celebrating this year 71 years of friendship between our two countries, the Indonesia and Philippines. Last year, we celebrated our 70 years. So for 71 years of strong friendship, terima kasih. And yeah, and there are similarities, well, very striking similarities that we have. Aside from our languages, some of the words seem to be familiar, and the culture, the taste, the food taste, they seem to be near. There are somehow similarities. I'd like to point out a similarity, which is very true nowadays in this time of pandemic. Next slide, please. We all know, well, it is a fact that, at one point, the Philippines has the highest number of COVID cases. And at another time, Indonesia overtakes the Philippines in the number of COVID cases. But that's not something we must celebrate about. But what am I saying here is that both our countries, have been badly hit. Now, where coronavirus cases have been rising steadily for months. So both countries, we both know how badly hit we are and how we have to lock down our places, how we've been dealing with the pandemic. So it is one point that we would like for us to realize, so that we are one in this together, right? Indonesia and Philippines have always been one in this together. Well, we are praying that it was otherwise, right? That we don't have such number of high COVID cases. But moving on to my next slide, please, is this question. Were we ready? No one was, right? Were we? Tidak siap? We were not, right? No one was prepared. Not even the superpower countries, have been prepared for COVID-19. No one was. But in the schools, in the Philippine schools, what we have been preparing all along was, for my next slide, please, was to be prepared during times of fire or earthquake. So we would have these fire drills, earthquake drills. That is what we have been preparing. And no one anticipated to have a pandemic, to have a health crisis as we are experiencing now. Next slide, please. We see a photo of two Filipino kids who seem to be enjoying online classes. So are they really enjoying online classes? Well, we have that saying from the UNICEF that the pandemic is not just a health crisis, but it is also a learning crisis. Now, you see, we have not been prepared. The schools have not been prepared for this. Therefore, we have a crisis. We have a learning crisis. Now, during times of crisis and emergencies such as COVID-19, now our children or the young students, the students who are uh, being sent to our schools would experience stress, they would experience fear and anxiety. So what the schools are expected to do is to do much more, right? To do much more than teaching, teaching the students, teaching the children how to read, how to write, or how to count numbers. But the schools are here to help bring a sense of normalcy to the lives of the students, right? So that is what we are aiming in this pandemic. Uh, and moving on, please. The society and education are really changing. For a number of reasons, we cannot return to the world as it was before, right? By now, it's been 7 months, 8 months or so. Things have changed, right? The coronavirus pandemic has changed how millions around the globe are educated. Now, new solutions for education are now trying to, are now being brought to us, right? And much needed innovation are expected. Now, in a matter of weeks since then, COVID-19 has changed how learners, how students are educated around the world. And those changes give us a glimpse at how education could change for the better or maybe the worse in the long term, right? So the schools must or are now trying to adapt assessment and grading practices that can most meaningfully support student development and respond to valid context at this time. Next slide, please. Here is a thought that hopefully would frame our discussions this morning. It says the primary aim of education is not only to enable students to do well in school, but to help them do well in the lives they lead following school. So the things that we do now, that we try to adapt, are trying to be more relevant, right? And we aim for students learning that will go beyond the classroom, and it should be a lifelong learning. Now, moving on, please. What really is the new normal? We often hear nowadays that this is a result of the pandemic. We are experiencing it now. Now, there is a lot of new normal that is taking place in our daily routine, in our jobs, uh, in the government processes, and in education. Now, moreover, new normal breaks the norms that that we used to live by. In our daily human routine, new normal means having to wear face masks when we go out, or if we are to enter business establishments, we are required not only to wear face masks, but we also have to wear our face shields, right? In government, everything must first be done through online. But how about in Philippine education system? What does new normal look look like in education, right? But for years, the Philippine education system has been traditional. But gradually, now it has changed to cater the demands of the new generation. Now, as a matter of fact, before the new normal, the teachers and learners are already using the internet. Now, they have been using computer and other technologies or other tools for education. But the difference lies between having a face-to-face class and now having a new normal classes, which are done virtually. So in a nutshell, the new normal education in the Philippines is now this. My next slide, please. So that's how it is. Uh, but learning, it just say that with COVID or without COVID, learning will definitely continue. Now, today in the Philippines, learning may be delivered in the new normal by way of three modalities. Now, these are the distance learning, uh, others would call blended learning, and then we have the homeschooling, respectively. Now, the first modality in the distance learning, which itself has also three forms. Now, the first form now this is the distance learning, right? Wherein it is given to the learners, and the modules are usually given to the learners and are being expected to be submitted at a particular day. So in this modality, the parents must, usually send it to the mailbox. And then the second form is the online distance learning. Now, learners who opt to choose this modality must have internet connection. So in this modality, the teacher and learner will meet virtually, and they do their activities synchronous or asynchronous. And the third will be the television, the radio-based instructions. Now, this kind of modality is fitted to the learners who are committed to learn on their own. My next slide, please. Now, we reimagine education. Uh, then we have the classroom, we have lectures, we have we have reading materials. But today, the classroom is virtual. The classroom may be the Google Meet, maybe Zoom. The classroom may be in the Microsoft Teams. So it is interactive. It is accessible by anyone, anywhere, and anytime. So there is disruption, and the disruption never looks inevitable until now, until we have experienced this. So that's how we are reimagining education. Secondly, next slide, please. We are reimagining books. Before, we have the printed materials. Today, we have the different tablets. It could be an Apple iBooks, iPads, or Amazon Kindle. So the lectures, the modules, uh, or the insights or learning outputs by the facilitator or instructors are now in a tablet or being sent to you through email. Again, disruption never looks inevitable until today. And thirdly, next slide, please. We try to reimagine learning. Well, then, right, uh, we are used to learning inside the classroom, participating inside the four walls of the room, reciting actively. But today, we can learn inside our own bedrooms, while lying down in our very comfortable beds. We can learn anywhere in our living rooms, perhaps in the restroom, all right, but with a different background, a virtual background, of course. So we would do that. So from learning by listening to learning by doing. So education and learning have become what? They have become more fun, right? They have become more fun like video games, like Mobile Legends, right? So learning has become full body. Again, disruption never looks inevitable until we are experiencing it today. Now, my next slide, please. We wrap up, right? And what what does this all say to us? Now, it is oh, education is always ever changing, right? And today, nowadays, the students are now freed from the traditional one path, only education. You know, they're not only learning from the classroom, but they're learning virtually. Now, there is a return on education investment. So nowadays, we realize how important education is, that we do not want to be left behind, that our students should not be left behind. So there are many ways to be able to continue education, right? Whether online or whether offline. And then, secondly, next slide, please. Career progression mindset is becoming even more essential. So our modules, the learning that we have now, are somehow relevant and somehow are geared towards having a successful job later on. So I think one good thing that the pandemic has given us is to basically think of what are essentials or what really matters for ourselves, for our students, for our loved ones. So most of the things that we deal now with our online classes basically geared towards this lifelong learning, towards having a good results later on after graduation. And thirdly, we 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 see that change is always happening, right? Next slide, please. And in higher education, change does happen, right? And online learning will be a major disruptor to what we used to have, the traditional pathways. So I think it has made our learning more innovative, digital in a way. Uh, it may be challenging, but it makes our our teachers, it makes our schools uh, geared to more innovations, right? So having said that, right, I would like to thank you for this morning, Terima kasih, and maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much, Mr. Frederick Reyes, for your presentations, for sharing with us your thought and best practices, that your institution has been doing in dealing with the pandemic and in making sure that the transition from conventional to online or distance learning is taking place meaningfully. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just heard from all of our honorable speakers their presentations on this issue. Now we are going to go to a question and answer sessions. Let me have a look at the Q&A column here. We have quite a number of participants now. But we have no open questions here. Yeah, we expect that people who have questions can write there in the column, but I don't see any questions from the people. Maybe they are being electrified by your presentations and forgot to ask questions. Okay, so perhaps I would like to welcome direct questions. Please, I would like you to spend time to write it down in Q&A. You can, ladies and gentlemen, do not hesitate.
Mungkin kalau ada yang mau langsung aja, nggak ada yang ngetik satupun.
Oh, it is possible to raise hand directly.
Okay. Please open your video. Admin, tolong dibuka karena nggak ada Q&A. 1-2 pertanyaan.
Iya, Ibu.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, you may ask questions directly. Raise your hand.
If they want to ask in bahasa, I think we have to allow them, Pak Alfa.
Oh yes, of course, yeah. Fellow teachers from Indonesia, Bapak, Ibu, Guru, excuse me, allow me to speak in Bahasa Indonesia first to provoke them to ask questions. Bapak, Ibu, Guru yang saya hormati, kami persilahkan untuk bertanya atau memberikan komentar secara langsung. Silahkan bisa dibawakan dalam Bahasa Indonesia, nanti akan kami terjemahkan. Silahkan, Bapak, Ibu.
Baik, selamat pagi. Assalamualaikum, Pak Alfa.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Pak Dario ya?
Ya, saya Pak Dario, Pak. SMK Muhammadiyah Cilacap, Pak.
Oh ya, silakan.
Baik, Pak. Begini ya, jadi ada sedikit permasalahan ketika kami berada di dunia pendidikan, terlebih sekarang kami di SMK itu kan ada peralihan yang sangat signifikan ke pendidikan vokasi, Pak. Di situ kan ada kendala yang paling utama adalah sumber daya manusia. Jadi sumber daya manusia itu kan tidak sama, Pak. Jadi ada yang masuk terlebih dahulu, kemudian ada yang baru gitu kan, sementara kan tuntutannya itu kan sekarang sama. Jadi pemahamannya itu harus sama, harus merata ya untuk berhasilnya tujuan pendidikan tersebut, Pak. Nah, mungkin ada strategi seperti apa, Pak, untuk bisa minimal ada keseimbangan, Pak, terkait dengan sumber daya manusia yang katakanlah produknya produk lama dengan produk yang sekarang gitu, karena memang ini yang harus mengimbangi dengan yang sekarang gitu, Pak. Ini mohon pencerahannya, Pak. Kita atau kami yang di bawah itu harus seperti apa untuk tercapainya program yang ada sekarang khususnya di dunia pendidikan di kami, Pak. Terima kasih, Pak.
Terima kasih Pak Dario untuk pertanyaannya. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just heard questions from one fellow teacher from SMK Muhammadiyah Cilacap in Indonesia. He was asking about how we can maintain and enhance our human resources, particularly, of course, teachers. You know, in catching up with the development, because one generations, for example, they are old teachers and then coming with new younger teachers. So there is a gap between them, and then how can we manage, to make sure that we schools or our educational institutions are having reliable human resources? I think we would like to directly address this to all of the speakers. Yeah, I would like to first invite Ms. Alin to answer this.
Okay, thank you, Pak Dario, for the question. I will first respond in Bahasa Indonesia ya. Pak Dario, terkait dengan vokasi ya, pendidikan vokasi itu sebenarnya tenaga pengajarnya justru yang paling diandalkan. Jadi kualitas lulusan memang tergantung dari tenaga pengajar. Saat ini sudah banyak cara, Pak, untuk meningkatkan kualitas pendidikan guru vokasi. Terutama kami di Siamolek juga menyediakan banyak sekali pelatihan-pelatihan untuk peningkatan kapasitas guru di bidang ICT ya. Karena dalam kondisi COVID seperti sekarang ini, guru-guru dipaksa melek teknologi, harus langsung jalan gitu, nggak bisa lagi belajar lagi, harus langsung ada, kalau mengikuti pelatihan ada produk yang jadinya apa yang bisa dipakai untuk pembelajaran. Nah, selain itu kalau vokasi juga mungkin bekerja sama dengan mitra-mitra industri, Pak, yang paling baik ya dari zaman dahulu tuh kalau vokasi selalu disarankan untuk ada pemagangan guru di industri atau ada guru dari industri langsung gitu ya, yang kalau masalah senior dan junior gitu ya, pengajarnya mungkin bisa team up dengan yang junior gitu ya, dengan guru-guru muda, bikin satu, mungkin kalau dari segi ilmu dan pengetahuan yang senior bisa berkontribusi, sementara yang junior bisa menambahkan juga dan dengan kemampuan ICT mereka gitu. Dan di sini Pak Alfa juga ya, kita di Siamolek sangat terbuka untuk pelatihan-pelatihan guru-guru peningkatan, dan memang pasiennya gitu ya, istilahnya pasiennya Simolek itu kebanyakan dari vokasi Pak Dario gitu, karena mereka butuh seperti augmented reality, virtual reality, Internet of Things itu bukan barang baru sekarang, tapi masih banyak yang belum menguasai. Jadi kami Simolek membuka pelatihan online yang bisa diikuti sampai ribuan peserta dan rata-rata kebanyakan guru gitu. Dan tidak hanya di Indonesia, juga di banyak peserta guru-guru Filipina yang sangat aktif mengikuti pelatihan-pelatihan kami. Mungkin itu dari saya, Pak Dario.
Mungkin sedikit saya
Bentar, Pak Dario.
Jadi
Pak
ya,
Dario, mohon izin sebentar.
mungkin di itu kembali ketika tahun 2010-an kalau 2010-an kalau nggak salah, itu memang sosialisasi dari Simolek memang agak lumayan ke dunia pendidikan kejuruan waktu itu. Nah, setelah sekarang mungkin harus diperdalam lagi untuk sosialisasinya.
Maaf Pak Dario, maaf. Sebelumnya Bu Alin akan menerjemahkan ke bahasa Inggris karena kita pendengarnya bukan hanya Indonesia.
Oh, siap. Thank you.
Baru nanti dilanjutkan pertanyaannya.
Ya, Bu Alin, please.
Okay, if I may summarize from my answer to Pak Dario earlier, for vocational education, basically the teacher playing the most important role to produce high qualified graduates. I suggested to Pak Dario to make team teaching for the senior teacher and the junior teacher, so they will come up with one or more materials together, or maybe also to involve industry as the educator, as the teacher for their specific field in vocational.
Thank you very much, Bu Alin, and for the answers. And then Mr. Dario also suggested that Simolek intensifies its socialization towards vocational education. Thank you, Pak Dario. I would like now to
for a moment, Pak Dario, maybe, and also for all participants, if you are interested in Simolek program, please follow our social media, our official.
Jangan dong.
Socialize there. Thank you.
Oke, thank you, Mbak Alin. Ya, Pak Dario bisa lihat di sosial media Simolek ya untuk informasi lebih lanjut. Thank you. I would like now to invite our honorable speakers, second guest speaker, Dr. Wilma Manio, to also contribute to answering this question related to how we can maintain or enhance our human resources, particularly teachers, so particularly in vocational education. Please.
Sir Dario, here in the Philippines, particularly in the Department of Education, we are giving teacher induction program for teachers who are 0 to 3 years in experience. Meaning there are master teachers who are mentoring the new ones with the new strategies, techniques, and even ICT skills that they'll be learning in order to adapt with what is happening now in the education field. Aside from that, we also encourage our teacher to enroll in the distance learning or in the professional side of enrolling in the graduate school, such as master's and doctorate degree. But aside from which, there should be body-body system in or among the teachers that you have in a school or in a community, so that each one can capacitate the less skilled one. Actually, here in my school, I have a teacher who is 57 years old, who is mentoring the new ones, meaning she is more skilled when it comes to ICT than the incoming or the the neophyte teachers. In such a way, this is just showing us that even though the senior ones are seasoned in the profession, it doesn't mean that they are not ICT savvy, just like the new ones. Meaning, you can uplift one another through a harmonious relationship and through generous heart of sharing your ideas with one another.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wilma, for your answers. Pak Daryo, tadi Ibu Wilma menjelaskan bahwa di Filipina itu ada program induksi atau induction program, ya, di mana guru-guru yang lebih senior dan memiliki pengalaman lebih banyak, ya, itu mentoring guru-guru yang baru, ya, guru-guru baru yang mungkin belum punya pengalaman atau zero experience. Selain itu juga pemerintah juga memberikan beasiswa master's degree, doctorate degree, ya, untuk guru-guru untuk terus mengembangkan professional development mereka, pengembangan profesi mereka. Salah satu contoh di sekolah beliau, tadi belum memberikan contoh, ada guru yang berusia 70 tahun, ya, yang beliau sangat berpengalaman, ya, dengan ICT dan memberikan mentoring kepada guru yang lebih muda yang ternyata belum berpengalaman, ya, dalam ICT. Ya, jadi tidak selalu mereka yang baru datang ya yang muda itu lebih berpengalaman daripada yang senior-senior, bisa juga sebaliknya. Demikian Pak Daryo. I would like now to welcome our next speaker, Pak Sayuti, to also contribute to answering to these questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Alfa. Actually, the question is very suitable for Dr. Wilma because she is a principal. Yes, because especially dealing with the generation gap between teacher. But I want to give additional answer. Actually, the character of teacher must be open-minded and then continuous learner. That the main characteristic of teacher. So we are teaching, but also in the same time learning. And then teacher have to be open-minded to learn new thing. Also, as Pak Eric mentioned in his presentation, we are dealing with transformation from the old fashion and then to the new culture, new habit, and the new technology. So teacher should be very open-minded. I repeat many times because Pak Daryo was my student, Pak Alfa. He was my student. I mentioned in many times to the teacher that the only hanya guru yang terus belajar yang boleh terus mengajar. Hanya guru yang terus belajar yang boleh terus mengajar. The teacher that can be teach must be continuous learner. So if the teacher stop learning, so he has to stop his job. So teacher has to be continuous learner. If they stop learning, they have to stop teaching. So in this situation, I can fully understand what the situation Pak Daryo is dealing. So in one school, maybe there are a group of all teacher with old-fashioned teacher, but now the new generation coming to the same school, and then usually maybe instigate a little bit conflict between the two generation. Yes, I think Dr. Wilma is very experienced in dealing with this situation. Thank you, Pak Alfa.
Thank you.
I hope Pak Daryo understand my explanation.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Sayuti. I can see from Pak Daryo's face, it seems that he understands what you are talking about. Yeah. Yeah. So guru-guru yang boleh terus mengajar hanya guru-guru yang terus belajar. Begitu Pak Sayuti ya. Those teachers who are allowed to teach are those teacher who are willing to continue learning. Okay, so I think this is a lifelong learning. Thank you so much. I would like to welcome Mr. Frederick Reyes also to contribute to this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Alpha. In our university, we have seasoned teachers. We have a lot of seasoned teachers. We say seasoned because they are more experienced. They have been teaching for several years. But it is the seasoned teachers who have been experiencing challenges digitally. And so the help of the young teachers was necessary, was more imminent, right, or prevalent among the teachers. So the young, you would see, like what Dr. Wilma had shared, you would see mentoring happening, but this time mentoring happens by way of the young, but the young ones, the young teachers mentoring the seasoned ones. So we would have online mentoring as well, and at some occasions, well, very rare occasions, well, because of social distancing requirements, some face-to-face, limited face-to-face huddle or grouping among the teachers. So, and from time to time, yeah, they would attend webinars. But it is also, of course, it is important that we gear towards further studies. So achieving a master's or a doctoral program would of course be the aim for all the teachers. So, better yet, teachers would learn from one another. That will be all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Frederick Reyes. I think he suggested that teachers should also learn from each other. Yeah, thank you. Pak Dario, ya mungkin bisa memahami ya bahwa guru-guru harus saling belajar satu sama lain. Thank you, Mr. Frederick Reyes, for your contribution. Okay, I would like to welcome next questions from the participants. Please raise your hand and speak directly. I can see from your videos. Pak Karnadi Hasan, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Alpa Amir Rahman. My name is Karnadi Hasan from Majelis Dikdasmen Wilayah Muhammadiyah Jawa Tengah. For all panelists, the imagination of learning has created difficulties for teachers in making valid and reliable student learning assessment. How to make a fair and objective assessment report on student learning outcomes in the new normal. Okay, one question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Karnadi. I think this is very important questions for every one of us here. Yeah, how we can have a fair and objective assessment for students during this pandemic. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because the learning and teaching are not done really in a normal way. Yeah, and then more in the transition period from conventional to distance learning. So I think assessment plays an important role, of course, here, to assess students' achievement. But how can we make it fair and objective during this situation? I would like to welcome Miss Alin first. Please speak in Bahasa.
Okay, thank you, Pak Alfa.
Okay.
In Bahasa, oke. Okay. Pak Karnadi, terima kasih untuk pertanyaannya ya. Tadi pada presentasi saya juga sedikit saya bahas tentang assessment ya. Jadi yang disampaikan dalam buku panduan yang disediakan oleh Kementerian Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan itu salah satunya adalah penilaian untuk 3 aspek. Yang pertama attitude, yang kedua knowledge, yang ketiga skill ya. Jadi kalau untuk attitude itu disarankan dengan menggunakan jurnal yang dibuat sendiri oleh guru. Jadi seperti jurnal yang harus diisi mingguan atau 2 mingguan atau bulanan, itu tergantung dari gurunya. Lalu apa yang mau direcord di situ, apakah siswa ini bicara untuk pendidikan anak usia dini sampai pendidikan menengah ya. bukan pendidikan tinggi. Jadi apakah seperti anak sholat 5 waktu, apakah si anak membantu orang tua di pagi hari, di sore hari, di malam hari, itu semua dicatatkan dengan format yang dibuat oleh gurunya. Lalu untuk pertimbangan knowledge atau ilmu pengetahuan itu tentu saja berdasarkan learning outcome ya, learning result dari guru-guru yang dilakukan di LMS atau di online class atau dengan bahan printed material. Penilaian assignment, pengumpulan tugas, kuis, itu semua dinilai untuk assessment di bidang pendidikan, pengetahuan maksud saya. Lalu untuk di bidang skill bisa juga dibuat seperti portfolio, dan itu disesuaikan dengan sarana dan prasarana yang dimiliki anak di rumah. Kalau mereka punya lengkap dengan printer atau apa, itu bisa di-print. Tapi kalau memang mereka hanya punya gadget atau terbatas, bisa ditulis tangan atau seperti buat clipping dari media cetak atau dari sumber-sumber lainnya, itu ditugaskan juga oleh guru. Jadi apa yang mereka buat, prakarya atau apapun di rumah yang melibatkan skill, itu bisa direkord dalam bentuk buku portfolio. Untuk detailnya itu dikembalikan lagi kepada kreativitas guru masing-masing. Seperti itu Pak Karnadi.
Okay, in English.
Oh, okay. So Pak Karnadi asked about the assessment. As previously, I also informed in my presentation that the suggested form from the Ministry of Education and Culture of Indonesia for the assessment involves in 3 aspects. The first one is the attitude, the second one is knowledge, and the third one, the last one is skills. So for the attitude, it can use like instruments provided by the teachers, like checklist instrument or whatever suits the needs of the students and the teachers and the parents, whether they do the praying, whether they do sports, whether they help the parents at homes. There's like a instrument provided by the teacher, so the parents will take and report it back to the teachers. As for the knowledge, it will of course use the learning outcomes from the learning management system or the printed materials sent to the students. And the last one, for the skill, it can the teacher can ask the students to create portfolio for a month or for every week, whatever suit their needs, for whatever they are assigned to do. For example, they can make like a waste recycling at home, and they can take the picture of the project and then report it back in form of portfolio. Thank you, Pak Alva.
Thank you, Bu Alin, for the answers. Yeah, I would like to welcome Dr. Wilma, please, to contribute to this discussion. Fair and objective assessment during the pandemic. Please unmute. Dr. Wilma, please unmute your speaker.
Sorry. Just like what Ma'am Aline has said, during the old normal, we assess the performance based on rubrics and based on criteria using numeracy and sometimes using letters. But in the new normal, since in the Philippines, we don't have face-to-face, so we just rely on the modules being submitted to us after a week, or the portfolio of the children that are submitted to us every week. We implore application using the skills learned through online also. And aside from the weekly portfolio, we also have online recitation, so that we may know somehow if the kids have learned what skills are being taught, what skills taught are, or if the skills that are taught are gained. And aside from that, we rely on honesty of the parents in helping their kids with the tasks that they are doing at home. So in as much as we want a very objective evaluation or assessment for the kids. It is in the Philippines, we base it on honesty, since we know that parents are into value orientation, since we want all our kids to be honest and to have integrity in whatever they do. So whatever are submitted to us every Friday are validated by teachers by asking the pupils to perform the activities that were taught. And after that, we are now crafting a new grading system in the new normal, which the department will going to issue a memorandum for the field to follow. But as of the moment, we are relying on our wisdom to know exactly who are the children, who among the children are equipped with what we are teaching. We are not into who are in the honor roll as of the moment or as of now. What we want to achieve is for whatever the minimum competencies that we want to teach are to be gained and are to be retained in the mind and in the hearts and in the hands of our kids. That's for us, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Wilma, for your answers. Pak Radi, itu tadi penjelasan dari Ibu Wilma, ya. Kita lebih banyak menggunakan wisdom, ya, kebijakan kita sebagai guru untuk betul-betul memberikan assessment yang fair dan objektif, dan juga ada beberapa yang menggunakan aplikasi. Mungkin nanti bisa kontak langsung dengan beliau untuk bisa lebih detailnya. Thank you. I would like to welcome Pak Sayuti.
Thank you, Pak Alfa. Karena this question was a difficult question, yes. Many institutions, for example, the World Bank, also the government of the US, also OECD, predicted what they call as learning loss. So the pandemic creating learning loss. So, and then they said that the impact of learning loss might be lifetime. So this is very serious prediction about the impact of the learning loss during the pandemic. So I really aware that it is not easy to answer Pak Karna this question. Yes, because we are facing the learning loss. So in the normal situation, we may doing assessment as maybe in Indonesia is very complicated assessment, Pak Karnadi, and then we are lowering the standard, lowering the criteria, and then what Dr. Wilma said was more wisdom assessment. Yeah. This is very wisdom assessment. How can we assess the student achievement in very difficult situation? So I do agree with the answer from Dr. Wilma. So experienced teacher can assess by feeling without doing examination with very strict examination. I do believe that experienced teacher in the time of discussion with the student, they can actually make a professional judgment refer to the experience. So actually in this discussion, for example, Pak Karnadi, or in teacher discussion with the student, from the quality of question, from the response, and then sometimes teacher can assess the knowledge of the student only from his or her eyes. Actually, the student understand or no. So I do believe that experienced teacher can see the level of understanding of the student from their eyes. Yeah. Okay, that only answer I can contribute, Pak Alfa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pak Sayuti. I would like to welcome Mr. Frederick Reyes to contribute to this discussion.
Thank you, Dr. Alpha. You know, the assessments and grades during this time of pandemic is always a controversial topic among ourselves. And the challenge is, the challenge is for us to reimagine also. Reimagine how we grade our students. That we must go beyond assessing our students by way of quizzes or by way of exams, but for us to recreate or to be more creative in trying to gauge how a student does or performs in the online class. I think there is a difference, right? Or what we are not expected to do during online class is that we just bring the lecture from the classroom to the online virtual classroom. Now, there are things that we can do in the actual face-to-face learning that we cannot apply in the online virtual learning. We know that for a fact, right? For example, we cannot hold very long lectures, right? Especially for teachers who are very driven, who are very passionate in holding long lectures. We cannot do that virtually. We cannot do that online because, you know, we might bore our students. Or, you know, there are many distractions for our students. There are many gadgets, there are many sources that may distract the student. For example, while I am engaging right now in Zoom, I have my phone on the side that I can, you know, I can also interact or maybe, you know, look into from time to time. So there are distractions. So I think we are being asked to how else can we grade our students aside from holding exams, holding quizzes. I guess we have to explore our tools, our online tools, and how else we can you know, perform activities, and by way of those activities or by way of those online tools, assess our students' task or performance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frederick Reyes. I think we have just, all of the panelists have just answered your questions. Pak Karnadi, I hope you're satisfied. If you're not satisfied, you can contact them personally. Okay, would like to invite more questions. Please, you can raise your hand and then speak directly. Maybe from the Philippines, teachers from the Philippines would like, you don't need to ask, but you can also give your opinion, give your insights, share your experiences.
Di chat box ada pertanyaan kayaknya, Mbak.
Oh, okay, let me have a look at it. No?
Bukan di Q and answer, tapi di chat box.
Di chat box. Oh, okay.
Ada dari Nimfa Vinera, ini udah ya, how do you conduct assessment Indonesia, udah.
Oh yeah, the assessment Indonesia, like written works and performance tasks of the learners.
In the Philippines, ini Ellen Joy Kelajes.
Okay, let me read it. Yeah. In the Philippines, we have the alternative learning system, ALS, alternative learning system. Education that caters to the out-of-school children, youth, and adults. I am wondering if we have this kind of education in Indonesia. If yes, what are the strategies done to ensure that their learning continues in this time of pandemic? Thank you in advance. Thank you. I think this is very important questions. Bapak Ibu yang saya hormati, ada pertanyaan dari kolega kita guru di Filipina. Kalau di Filipina itu ada yang disebut dengan alternative learning system, sistem pembelajaran alternatif untuk siswa-siswa di luar sekolah, mereka yang tidak bersekolah, ya, children, youth, dan juga orang-orang dewasa. Nah, beliau berpikir atau ingin mengetahui apakah ada program seperti ini di Indonesia, dan kalau iya, strateginya seperti apa untuk memastikan bahwa pembelajaran mereka terus berlanjut terutama di masa pandemi seperti ini. Ya, Miss Alin, I'd like you to contribute to this discussion, maybe about kesetaraan.
Yeah. Thank you for the question, ma'am. If I may respond to that, in the Ministry of Education and Culture, we have one unit responsible for the equity education. This education is provided for those who hasn't finished their formal education and would like to accomplish starting from elementary, junior high school, and senior high school. We call it package A, package B, and package C. I think starting around 2 or 3 years ago, Simolek also helped this unit in the ministry to design the learning management system provided especially for this equity education unit. Yeah. And until now, furthermore, during this COVID-19, the students of this equity program do all of their online learning using this learning management system. We call it Setara Daring. If you search in Google, you will find, but it's in Bahasa Indonesia. They learn the materials online, and later they will conduct the assessment or the final assignment in the learning center. So there are many learning centers provided in one region or in one province. So they can just go to the nearest from their home, the learning center, and took the assignment there or the final exam there. I hope that explains.
Thank you very much, Mbak Alin. Ya, untuk Bapak Ibu guru di Indonesia mungkin sudah memahami ya, ini tentang paket A, B, dan C yang dikenal di dalam sistem pendidikan Indonesia, pendidikan kesetaraan. Oke, baik. Thank you very much. I would like now to welcome, of course, because this is related to things in Indonesia. Maybe Pak Soyuti would like to add something, please.
Yes, I think Dr. Alpha is the best person to answer this question. Yes, I know that. Yes, because actually Siamil Simolek is solving this kind of problem. But yes, I know that also there is formal and informal education in Indonesia. Also, Ms. Alin already mentioned before that there is another option for packet A, packet B, and packet C. So it might be difficult to contextualize in the Philippine context, but we do have formal and informal education. But because the informal education is not part of my job, so I don't have any idea. I think Dr. Alpha is the best to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Sayuti. I think this has already explained by Miss Alin. I think it's more than enough. Yeah, we have in Indonesia this kind of package A, B, and C. It's like equity education is for those students, children, adults, yeah, at any age, you know, who don't have time to go to formal school and who haven't accomplished in formal school. Most of them are working already. Yeah, and then they would like to accomplish their formal education, and then they can join this. So we cater this special people, yeah, for them to be able to continue. And during this pandemic, yeah, maybe Mbak Alin hasn't explained this, that in Siamolek cooperates with the ministry, this unit, these special units in the Ministry of Education and Culture, to have an online learning or distance learning for equity educations. And during the pandemic, the number of the participants increased significantly. Yeah, so we are very happy with this. Yeah, that during this pandemic, those people who don't have time to go to school for formal education, they have more time to really concentrate more on their study to accomplish their formal education. So the number of the students increased significantly. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. Now I would like to, this is from Ellen Joy. Ellen Joy, yeah, thank you very much, ma'am. Next, oh, this is related to certificate. Bapak Ibu yang saya hormati, mohon lihat di chat box ya. Ada link sertifikat di sana, ada absen dan sertifikat. Jangan lupa sekiranya ingin mendapatkan sertifikat, lihat di chat box ya. Jangan sampai setelah selesai baru bertanya. Silahkan dilihat di chat box ada untuk sertifikatnya.
Okay. Alpha?
Yes.
Maybe I want to give more information about the new assessment in Indonesia.
Oh yes, of course, Bu Lily. This is an updated information from Ibu Lily, please.
Okay, thank you. This is just only 1 month or 2 months ago. We have a new regulation. We call that is minimum assessment competencies. And we call that is AKM. AKM is assessment competencies minimum. And then there are assessment 3 kinds is character, literacy, and numeracy. That is enough.
Okay, thank you so much, Bu Lily. Yeah, because of this pandemic, the Minister of Education and Culture has just adjusted the assessment. So minimum, what you call it, Bu Lily?
Assessment competency minimum, AKM.
Yeah, assessment.
Minimum assessment competencies.
Minimum. So it means that not unlike in a normal time, teachers are not obliged, yeah, to really target high competencies, but there is a minimum competencies that can be reached. Thank you, Bu Lily. Okay. I've been trying to look again at the chat box, but I don't have any more new questions. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, I think we have already answered the questions. Yeah, so I would like to welcome again participants. We still have time. Please, if you have any questions, maybe Ibu Lastri, maybe Pak Agus, yeah, from Indonesia. Who else? Yeah, I can see here. Siapa lagi? Maybe from the Philippines, Miss Amelia, Miss Margarita, or maybe from Indonesia, Ibu Ois Septiana. If you have questions, please don't hesitate. Kalau punya pertanyaan, jangan ragu-ragu. You may speak in Bahasa Indonesia, and then we will translate it for you. People, look, yeah. Ada pertanyaan? If there is no further questions, then I would like to end this discussion. Pak Indra Hasan, do you have any questions, Pak Indra? Ada pertanyaan? Atau mau share something? Pak Indra dari Riau. Silakan, Pak. Unmute dulu, unmute. Unmute. Pak Indra, ada pertanyaan? Ya, silakan.
Not yet, Pak Alfa.
Oh, not yet. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, baik. Baik, okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think we don't have any further questions. This means we would like to end this very interesting webinar, which is important. I think even though many of you don't ask questions, but I believe that you have listened attentively to this discussion and jot down many important points. I myself also, I'm also jotting down some important points, things that I haven't learned before. So during this discussion, I've been learning a lot from you. So thank you very much, the honorable panelists, for your contribution to this. Okay, I would like to end this discussion. Again, I would like to express my high appreciation to all the panelists, for the contributions, and also to all participants, for your participation, for your questions, for your attention to this webinar. Again, thank you so much. Nasrun minallah wa fathun qarib wa basyiril mu'minin. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I would like to hand over this discussion to our Master of Ceremony. Thank you.
Mbak Manet.
Okay, so I think I would like to welcome, Ibu Dr. Lili Nurlaili, our Education and Culture Attaché of the Republic of Indonesia in Manila, the Philippines, to give her closing remarks. Please, Ibu Lili.
Thank you, Pak Dr. Alfa Amir Rahman. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the all presentation today. You are give very excellent presentation, very inspiring. And then you are all panelists is good description and very valuable presentation, not only for Indonesia, but for Philippines too. And then before the closing, I'm just thanks a lot for the all panelists, my honorable Alin Alamanda MA from Siamolek, Mr. Frederick Reyes from the La Salle Araneta, Philippines, Mr. Sayuti from National Accreditation Board for School and Madrasah, and Ma'am Dr. Wilma Kunanan Manyo from Principal Maligaya Elementary School, Quezon City. And all of the participants today is more than 100, and I hope this webinar is we can implementation and then we understand what we must to do in this situation in Indonesia and in Philippines. Thanks a lot. This is the last webinar international. I make it because I must going back to Indonesia. My duty in here is finished.
Welcome home, Bu Lili. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you and terima kasih. Dengan mengucapkan Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin, saya tutup webinar hari ini. I'm closing webinar today. Maraming salamat. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Thank you, Bu Lili.
Thank you, Dr. Frederick.
Hope to see you in Jakarta, Bu Lili.
Okay, see you on
Thank you.
Cipete.
Insyaallah.
Before we close, let's have a picture
Bapak Ibu,
together.
tolong dinyalakan videonya. Please turn on the video because the admin would like to take a pictures of all of us. You can turn on the video.
Photo time.
Pak admin, you would like to take a pictures?
Yes, but thank you.
Yeah.
For
Now,
everyone, kindly turn on your video so we can take a picture together. Okay, for the first
Terima
page,
kasih Pak Alfa.
1, 2, 3. Okay.
Thank you for all.
And for the second page, okay, no one is turning on their video. It's okay. Okay, then we're good. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Alfa.
Thank
Pak Alfa, terima kasih.
Terima kasih Bu Lili, Pak Alfa.
Terima kasih Bu Alinda, Bu Alin.
Frederick Reyes.
Ya, Pak Sayuti, Mr. Frederick.
Pak admin, I would like to congratulate for all the good job. Thank you. For all the stuff.
Thank you, Pak Alfa. Thank you, Frederick, Mr. Frederick Reyes. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Makasih banyak, Pak Alfa.
Sami.
Terima kasih. God bless po.
Thank you.
Terima kasih. God bless you. Thank you. Allow me to leave this forum. Thank you. See you later. Assalamualaikum.
Rep ya, Bu.
Terima kasih.